Good morning and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the 2016 ITTF World Tour, the Hyojoo Austrian Open, a major series on the World Tour. I'm your commentator, Adam Bobrow, coming to you live from Linz, Austria, and we are getting into the final day of action at a major series tournament. Only 4 women left in the women's singles. This is the first televised women's singles semifinal, and first on the court is Yui HAMAMOTO from Japan, and her opponent, playing for Korea, the 18-year-old short pip backhander, Choi Hyojoo. Choi Hyojoo has definitely made a name for herself, beating none other than Kasumi Ishikawa 2 times last year. Deadly backhand and working even more on her forehand. This match will be officiated by umpire Fleur from Germany, and from USA, assistant umpire. You know what, it looks like they've changed up the umpires a little bit. I know the name that I was given here, and that is not Saul Weinstein out there. So I will keep you posted about that. I'm sure you'll see it on screen soon. So Choi Hyojoo has been working with Yoonam Gyu, the Olympic gold medalist of 1988, the very first men's singles Olympic gold medalist, left-handed pen holder. So they both have the left hand going for them. When I talked to Choi Hyojoo, who originally comes from China and moved over, naturalized, plays for Korea now, she's been working a lot on her step-around forehand. So her backhand, she has the Moristo SP rubber, a short pips rubber that plays a lot like medium, or some would even say long pips, the way it knuckles the ball back and changes the pace. But unlike Mima Ito's game, who uses the same rubber, the Moristo SP, Choi Hyojoo has a much more aggressive backhand consistently. Mima Ito you'll get a chance to see later today, as you can see in the second singles match against teammates short pip chopper Honoka Hashimoto. Kenta Matsudaira with the fantastic serves will be playing up-and-coming Benedikt Duda from Germany. And then after that will be a rematch from the semifinals of the Youth Olympic Games in 2014, where none other than Ugo Calderano, superstar in Brazil right now, will be playing Yuto Muramatsu from Japan. Short pips chopper. There's the doubles schedule on screen for the women's and men's finals for doubles. So Yui HAMAMOTO, 18 years old, standing quite tall, taller than anyone on the Japanese women's team. She's the 15th seed in this tournament, currently world rank number 36. She's got steady strokes on both sides, is undefeated so far this tournament, despite playing Chung-Yi Ching. Chung-Yi Ching, the top seed in the tournament, world rank number 8, and Yui HAMAMOTO beat her 4 games to 2. Other players that fell at the sword of Yui HAMAMOTO were Maki Shiomi, short pips forehand player from Japan, very difficult. HAMAMOTO with a surprise victory there, for me anyway. Lee Yi-chen from Chinese Taipei in the opening round. And yesterday, Sehyo Won, the top chopper from Korea. Long pips, beaten by Yui HAMAMOTO 4 games to 2, a very exciting match. HAMAMOTO took the first 2 games, and the next 2 went the other way, and then the last 2 games of the match, 13-11 for Yui HAMAMOTO. See some of her stats on screen right there. So HAMAMOTO very calm. I know there's a good variety of personalities on the Japanese women's team, with over 30 professionals playing for the women's team in Japan. You can expect such a variety in character. We've got a lot of screamers and emotional players. Sakura Mori, probably the most vocal player. And Yui HAMAMOTO might be on the other extreme. Choi Hyojoo right there. Very strong backhand. Again, it's deadly. The Moristo SP rubber puts a lot of wiggle on the ball and offers some versatility. So we'll see if Choi Hyojoo plays the step around forehand more. It's definitely something she's working on. Feels that she can be deadly. Fast feet, the footwork of the Korean national team, one of the most important ingredients there. And Lo Man Ho from Hong Kong, our umpire for this match. And assisting him, Saeed Lanazri from Algeria. Now Choi Hyojoo, also undefeated so far. In the first round, she beat Guilin of Brazil 4 games to 1. After that, Hitomi Sato, the chopper from Japan. Hitomi Sato's had quite a breakthrough year, I'd say. Although in the last few months, has settled down a little bit. But but it's tough to say with so many strong Japanese players and young players like Choi Hyojoo. It's always a really strong and difficult fight to break into the top. I mean, even to break into the top 100 is quite difficult. Hitomi Sato's long accomplished that. But Choi Hyojoo moved on to beat Misaki Morizono 4-3. And yesterday beat Sutasini Sawetabut from Thailand. Top Thai player. That was a 4-0 victory for Choi Hyojoo. And now she faces Yui Hamamoto. Only one of these players will continue to be undefeated after this match. Best of 7, the first semifinal of the day. Right down the line, the spinny forehand, very smooth for Hamamoto. As a taller player, she's got a wider reach and wingspan, a little bit bigger middle. So Choi Hyojoo is going to have to be very, I'd say, wise about when she chooses to play the wings. But a well-placed serve earns the first point for Choi. Down the line again, the parallel shot. Now this is one of the dangers of stepping around for a forehand on the backhand corner, that if the opponent plays the line, it's very tough to get your forehand on it. Again down the line, so quick. Hamamoto making it look like a piece of cake out here. Remember, this is the shortest part of the table. Fast serve into the backhand, but the follow-up shot from Choi Hyojoo into the net. Now, while that rubber can be used to generate spin, similar to certain inverted rubbers, not quite as much. It's still going to be a little flatter shot in general. There's the step around, the heavy topspin from the forehand inverted rubber of Choi Hyojoo. First towel break of the game, just a quick hand wipe from Hamamoto. And as a left-handed player, that inside-out forehand creates some angles that a right-handed player is not quite as used to. As a matter of fact, even left-handed players aren't used to it as much. Left-handed players still used to playing right-handed players. There's a receive. Sees it coming long, rips it to the short side with the step around. On this high toss serve, the whole time Choi Hyojoo is going to be watching the racket to see the contact. A lot of beginning players follow the ball up in the air, but quickly professionals will watch the racket. Yesterday there were some slow motion shots of Sofia Polkanova, a local favorite. You could see where her eyes were following on the receive. Little change of pace in trajectory, slower shot from Hamamoto, but still low to the net with topspin. Reverse pendulum, but a loaded backhand receive from Hamamoto. In the women's game, we don't see it quite as much as we do in the men's game. Hamamoto, Duhoi Kem, a handful of others getting in over the table with that backhand. The banana flip. Chiquita, as they say in Japan. Very close to the edge, Choi Hyojoo trying to stay on top of the bounce. Hamamoto with the very traditional, straightforward tactics right now. Spinning from both wings, playing the lines when she can. Subtle contact on that serve too. It's not how much spin is on it, but how difficult it is to read. Hamamoto with light underspin on that contact. And right now it is 7 game points for Yui Hamamoto to take the first. Coach Hwang Sung-hoon for the Korean player, Choi Hyojoo. There's change of pace, taking a bit off it with the short pips backhand. We don't see that from Choi Hyojoo quite as much. There's Coach Liu Jie, Hamamoto's coach. One of many coaches for Japan from China. And there it is, Hamamoto with the underspin shovel serve. Takes the first game in fashion, and we'll be back for game 2 to see what changes out here. Choi Hyojoo versus Yui Hamamoto, game 2 after this short break. And as the players come back for game 2, you can see some of the earlier crowd fans here. The ones who wake up early on the weekends to come out and see the first matches of the day. Yui Hamamoto leading 1-0, starting off with the serve. Very faint net, still quite short on the table. Moves over a little bit more to the forehand side. Now Choi still hasn't quite calibrated some of those forehand loops from Hamamoto, varying in spin and speed, haven't come back. This ball will not come down. These are the rallies that we're going to see more and more of throughout this match. Counterattacks, working it around the table, typically in the women's game, trying to find the middle. But this is true of both the men's and women's games. It's to your advantage to get the player hesitating, choosing which side of the racket to use to open up one corner of the table. Speaking of which, right down the middle, this is the sweet spot that Choi's going to have to find. See her coughing a little bit out there. Earns the deep push for the third ball attack. Again, a bigger middle on a taller player. Takes a little bit longer to cross over. Hamamoto strong on the receive. Little flip, put some pressure on. As the receiver, it should be your goal to try and derail the train that the server's setting up. Break their plan, force them into something they're uncomfortable with. The Lu Goliong step with the right foot from Hamamoto on a let serve. Saw it once yesterday in her quarterfinal match. This could be the influence of having Chinese coaching. Quality pushes as well. Still, this seems a little uncharacteristic of Choi Hyojoo. Could be shaking off the morning dew still. Leaving it a little wide. I think it's rare to see a serve so wide out to the forehand of a player at this level. Just enough to tempt them to try to go around the net. But in that case, Hamamoto wasn't quite so wide. It was wide enough to tempt, but didn't create an easy around the net shot. Around the net shot's lower than the net, never really that easy. At that point, Choi felt a lot more in control, set up the early attack, stayed in the spinning game. Hamamoto's going to get several balls back on the table. If you were to look at the two of them side by side, Choi Hyojoo, significantly smaller, still has a lot of power, plays a very aggressive game. Hamamoto a little bit more conservative in her spin. Still has the power though, just earns the higher shots, or the higher percentage shots anyway. little bit late to get in for that flat hit over the table, the forehand flip kill. Not a bad improvised receive either. Choi Hyojoo got jammed up in the backhand corner with a fast long serve. The pressure to keep the serve low. Sometimes it's going to clip the top of the net, and here it was a service error. Goes out. A lot of work for Choi Hyojoo. Several backhand blocks, changing up the placement and finally earning the opportunity. Doesn't need big strokes, especially when there's a lot of topspin coming in. Just has to keep the racket head up, stay on top of the ball. I will say Choi Hyojoo, I believe, is using a spare racket. The racket that she had yesterday didn't pass the test. It was too thick to be legal. Just a little bit out of reach. Looked like Choi Hyojoo expected it to be more into the backhand side on the body. Still several impressive shots in that rally, but HAMAMOTO in control. No remorse. Turns the corner, spins, shows the back to the table. And one-shot wonder right here from Choi Hyojoo, that explosive step around forehand. This is what she said she's been working on with Yunam Kyu. Not necessarily turning her back to the table, but getting that forehand into play as the third ball attack. And right there, just the receive, the second ball of the rally. It's going to be tough for Choi Hyojoo to counter, to punch it back, give a fast block off those short pips when Yui HAMAMOTO gets a full swing forehand loop cross court. Second serve she's given away this game, trying for the long cross court serve. I think it's a good sign that she's not afraid, that she's trying new things. If it is broken, it needs fixing. One game point saved. 3 left for HAMAMOTO with their second serve coming up here. Back to the Lu Guoliang. Solid forehand flip, but it comes back faster and wider from Choi Hyojoo to save her second game point in a row. And a quality receive can set up a bit of, say, predictability for you. Choi Hyojoo knew right where to expect that forehand flip. Too strong, the power on the backhand. We saw it once yesterday, ripping through Hyowon, and it takes the game. Second game for HAMAMOTO over Choi Hyojoo. We'll be back for game 3. Stay right here. And as the players come back for game 3, you had a chance to see some of the Korean contingency from coaches. National women's coach Kim In-soon, the mother of Yang Ha-eun. Some of their players as well. Choi Hyojoo now starting off game 3 with the serves down 0-2. feeling of that point. If HAMAMOTO makes that shot, she's just got more aggression right now. She's earning better shots than Choi Hyojoo. But that's one way to handle it. Get a spinny ball, keep your balance, stay forward and on top of it, and counter it right back. No problem. Choi Hyojoo just moving the feet, then the upper body to take it deep to the backhand corner. The forehand flip kill. Choi Hyojoo starting to settle in. It's not like HAMAMOTO's playing much worse. I think this is one thing that's tough to tell sometimes as a viewer. My job to point out that the quality of shot coming in. Choi Hyojoo really setting herself up here. Oh, down the short side of the table after two spinny shots from below the table. This is a high-risk ball. Real confidence out here. Choi Hyojoo just fanning up and over that. Such a smooth forehand shot. Hasn't dropped a point yet here in game 3. But a backhand like that's one way to get on the board. HAMAMOTO confidently taking the powerful shot with the backhand. Times it just right, snaps through at the wrist. Ooh, a little help off the edge of the table, the softer spinny shot. See how much rotation is on that ball, but the length of the serve comes just off the back edge, allowing for the opening backhand. Ooh, skates across the top of the net, but stays on HAMAMOTO's side. After two service errors last game from Choi Hyojoo, we see our first from HAMAMOTO. Well placed again. HAMAMOTO, she started off the match playing those down the line forehands. Now typically there's going to be some surprise if you can play it down the line. The most obvious shot would be the safest shot to the length of the table, cross court. I talked to you about the Korean national team's footwork and training. Choi Hyojoo, quick to get out to cover that forehand, puts a little more pressure on HAMAMOTO to try and play it wider. And now she's changing up her placement a bit. Choi Hyojoo forcing HAMAMOTO to try and play some down the line backhands as well. Keep her placement unpredictable. Gotta love the Lu Guoliang serve. But the length just too long again. Choi Hyojoo exploiting it, gets the opening attack and takes the point. The pattern, the trend has been game 1 11-4 for HAMAMOTO, 11-8 last game, and right now the tables have turned. Choi Hyojoo very much in the driver's seat. No! The flat hit goes just long, curving and bending past the table. This rally goes several shots longer than you expect. Almost comes down. If that shot makes it, hands in the air all around. Plot twist, Choi Hyojoo, 7 game points. Fast long serve and a third ball to follow it up. The most dominant performance yet is to the player that's trailing. Choi Hyojoo wins 11-3 in the third game. We'll see if this is a change, a turn of the tides here. Game 4, a chance for Choi Hyojoo to tie it up or Yui HAMAMOTO to continue to run away. Game 4 right after this. Players come back for game 4. Fans discuss amongst themselves who they think will win, who they're rooting for, who they'd like to see play for the championship, for the title. Both players 18 years old, quite young to be taking a major series title, but they're here in the semifinal. Ball sits up a little bit too high. The chop from Choi Hyojoo leaves Hamamoto a gift to put away. It's a quality block to set it up. Not an easy shot as Choi Hyojoo runs down a counter forehand. This is memory coming back into play. The last time that serve came deep to the backhand, Choi Hyojoo popped it up just a little and Hamamoto had an easy winner. So she tried to close more and keep it down. As far as that memory and adjustment goes, Hamamoto, just the same thing. Starts moving for the cross-court step-around forehand. Tries to cover, and even with all her wingspan, can't keep it down onto the short side of the table. Tactics have changed out here. Choi Hyojoo, a bit more aggressive, her serves, a little bit more topspin on him. Trying to earn, say with a shorter topspin serve, it's going to earn more likely a third ball if Hamamoto can't get the flip into play. Very patient receive. Choi Hyojoo watches the ball come off the table. Practicing serve, but practicing receive as well, recognizing when the ball's going to come off from its first bounce on the table. Jammed up in the backhand court, smart placement from Hamamoto. A lot of the time the block, what seems to be the easy choice is to play it down the line when someone steps around because the opening's there, but it is the shortest side of the table, not to mention the players anticipating that and moving out to the forehand side so you can hit it behind their body weight by blocking it back to the backhand corner. Oh, closing out the short pips punching. This is not an easy ball. It looked like Choi Hyojoo had to get in the air to get on top of this ball. Flat hit from the forehand. With her feet in the air, takes it out to the wide forehand side for the winner. Can't get much better than that. The last square inch of the table from Yui Hamamoto. Definitely think that's worth some applause. Middle to middle, the shortest part of the table. I am impressed with Hamamoto's variation in serve, though, even from where she starts. You'll see this a lot. More experienced players, Samsonov, also a very tall player, of course, constantly moving around on the table to keep the receiver guessing at where the ball's going to go. Different lengths, different angles. It also takes a lot of practice from the server. Choi Hyojoo running around with some very impressive shots in that rally, but Hamamoto stays like the wall, keeps the ball on the table, anticipates well, gets everything back. One, two, three, set him up, knock him down, the long serve, the loop, and then countered right back to the short side of the table. That's the step around. Choi Hyojoo's been working on. Again, with the inverted rubber on the forehand side, she's going to generate more spin, have higher success with these aggressive shots. Hamamoto keeps it deep on the table and pins her in the backhand corner right into the body. Uncomfortable shorter stroke for Choi Hyojoo, goes just too wide. Now remember, since August 1st of this year, October 1st rather, coaches are able to interject between points, able to offer coaching or advice. And even at only 18 years old, both of these players so experienced, coaches know to let them be in their rhythm, just long. Second service given away by HAMAMOTO. Although there were 2 the other way from Choi Hyojoo in game 2. Even with a little hesitation, just waiting for a moment, still that short stroke forehand. Choi Hyojoo gets on top of the ball, counters for the winner. The way she whips through and closes over that ball. Could see her set up in the middle before, waiting for a shot to the backhand. This level of play, players are going to keep the racket neutral, right in the middle just to see, not commit either way. What was starting to look like a match that could be going very quickly for Yui HAMAMOTO is definitely being contested now. Well placed on the elbow. HAMAMOTO gets a softer shot, pushes Choi Hyojoo back off the table. Third serve giveaway in the last 2 games from HAMAMOTO. Having service variation can be very useful. But again, if you're not super comfortable with the serve, especially under pressure, you can see what happens. 3 game points for Choi Hyojoo to tie it up at 2 games each. Solid backhand opening. This time she gets the shovel serve right. Comes under and around the outside of the ball to set up the third ball attack. Little help off the top of the net, but solid blocking from HAMAMOTO. When Choi Hyojoo gets that opening attack with the forehand, it's very difficult to play back, especially for HAMAMOTO in the middle. And a timeout called on the side of Choi Hyojoo with coach Hwang Sung-hoon, former player in Korea as well. You can find videos of him playing with Joo Se-hyuk, doing exhibitions, competing years ago. How low to the net those first 2 shots are. Choi Hyojoo stepping around. One more game point for Choi Hyojoo. Now sometimes a lighter spin serve earns a ball that gets popped up or dumped into the net. People overcompensate. You'll see the variation in service. It's often, I'd say, human nature to think, oh, the more spin, the more effective this serve should be. But sometimes less spin is more effective, especially if your opponent's very comfortable receiving heavy spin serves. Element of surprise, priceless. We'll see if there are any surprises here out of the timeout for Choi Hyojoo. I think she expected the ball to bounce up a little bit more. Very good flooring out there right now. Makes it a little easier on the knees of the players. Oh, and Yui HAMAMOTO with that flip earned the opportunity and had the opening cross court with the backhand. Choi Hyojoo takes advantage and gets away with the game. Tied up at 2 games each. One player is going to step ahead after game 5. We'll see who it is. Stay right here. Game 5 right after this. Back for game number 5. Choi Hyojoo on a roll right now. Won the last 2 games. And after having a strong lead in the last game, just barely pulled it out. And this looks like the Yui Hamamoto we saw in the first 2 games. It's different though, because Choi Hyojoo is bringing a different game to the table than she was in the first 2 games. Quality of the block coming back off the short pips on the backhand side of Choi Hyojoo. The big opening loop of Hamamoto comes right back to haunt her. Again, big shots with bigger strokes take longer to recover from, and you need to put less pace on them when you're on the other side of the table. Just a little bit back off the table. Choi Hyojoo, again with the short pips, generate less spin. She's gonna have to try and take the ball a little earlier if she can. Inside out forehand, opens the shoulders early, keeps Choi Hyojoo guessing where it's gonna go. Watch this, look at the upper body, turns, but lets the wrist and the hand drag behind just a little bit to play it the opposite way. I think that's the most vocalization I've heard from Hamamoto in my life. A Yole, relatively quiet one too. But this is a very important game. Yui Hamamoto needs to break the rhythm, break the momentum of Choi Hyojoo. Despite a solid long push into the body, Choi Hyojoo reacts quickly. It's her second point this game. Inside out the step around. We've seen it twice this match, and Choi Hyojoo's won both of them. Quick to realize Hamamoto's going deep to the backhand, starts moving the feet. Once again, quick turn. This is the fast footwork. And if you're used to stepping around the forehand, pen holders know this best. So her coach, Yoonam Kyu, who's not here today, has been working with her on the step round, knows all about fast footwork. You want to see some fast footwork? Go back and watch the 2004 Olympic gold medal match with Ryu Sung-min. Some of the fastest feet I've seen in my life. Right away from the point of contact, Hamamoto, not sure if there's an injury here, calls a timeout. Clear disappointment, drops the racket. Looks like she's limping a little bit. Stretching out the ankle there, rolling it around. Don't know if she cramped up or what, but that is not a usual reaction. Yeah, immediately goes to the ankle. You can see her collapse and quickly go over to the corner. She looks to be okay now in the corner. You can see the wince of pain there in that replay, but just looking down at the court, she's back and talking to Coach Liu Jie. Seems okay, standing up fine. It was difficult to see her feet on that receive. Every once in a while, if your body weight goes the wrong way, you can step down on the side of your foot, roll your ankle a little bit. It can always be uncomfortable. Don't want to have to worry about that when you're moving around for every shot. Many of you fans at home saw Ding Ning versus Liu Shiwen in 2015 in Suzhou at the World Championships final. Down 0-2. Ding Ning rolled her ankle and came back to play through injury to become world champion. We'll see how Yui Hamamoto handles out here after losing 4 straight points from up 4-1. Choi Hyojoo rocket backhand off the bounce to the length of the table, continues her streak. Short stroke too, you could see her starting to turn for the forehand. This is one of the most impressive things about professional players, how short their strokes can be, how little time they need to set them up, and still how much power they can generate. The wide shot inside out, HAMAMOTO working from the middle of the table to get the forehand into play. Even HAMAMOTO, not a huge backswing. The forehand tends to be more expensive, take a little bit more time. Unbelievable recovery. Choi Hyojoo backing off the table. Looked like she was about to get punched with this ball and brings it right back into play and turns around, takes the opportunity to win the point. It feels like a whole different year when Choi Hyojoo started this match. The Choi Hyojoo we saw and the Choi Hyojoo we see now. Much more aggressive play from both sides. This is forcing HAMAMOTO to change her game, to rush her shots a little bit, not get too comfortable spinning the ball. But that's one way to do it. Just like I said earlier, the block deep into the backhand corner after the step around forehand. Because Choi Hyojoo knows she needs to cover that wide forehand, but if she moves too early, she's going to get backed up like she did into the backhand corner. Long serve and the forehand flip kill from over the table. That's 3 in a row for Yui HAMAMOTO. One receive that still Choi Hyojoo hasn't figured out a great response to. The fast long serve into the backhand. Back to the Lu Guoliang stance and serve. Heavy underspin, half long on the forehand side. HAMAMOTO continuing her streak from down 5-7, 4 in a row. Heavy underspin comes right back. The collapse there for a moment for HAMAMOTO made me concerned that there was an injury, but could see she was quickly right back and ready for the next point. The modern backhand receive from the forehand side and the follow-up forehand attack. HAMAMOTO has earned 2 game points. Third towel break of the game. Again, for those of you newer to table tennis, towel break every 6 points. Keeps the game and the match moving for you, spectators at home. Live in the arena too. There it is. Half long to the forehand side, and the follow-up attack from HAMAMOTO takes it 11-8 for a 3-2 lead. We'll be back for game 6 to see if HAMAMOTO closes it out or Choi Hyojoo sends it to a decider. Game 6 right after this. Time is called and the players are back. Yui Hamamoto at the bottom of the screen, 18-year-old from Japan, leading 3 games to 2 over Choi Hyojoo of Korea, also 18 years old. This is not just a change, I would say, more so of spin than placement. Hamamoto serves successfully deep to the backhand with the pendulum serve, bending out to the forehand side, but this time comes around the outside of the ball. Short side of the table on the step around Choi Hyojoo. You just feel like they have a sense. From peripheral vision to the movement, Yui Hamamoto starts to cover the forehand just a little bit. Choi Hyojoo goes the other way. I think that's a strong serve, but the third ball a little bit passive from Choi Hyojoo, at least compared to the way she's come out the last 2 games. The long, fast serve, you have to be ready for the ball to come back quickly and long, of course. Oh, 2 in a row. One deep to the forehand and then back to the backhand corner. Just spanking the ball. Choi Hyojoo demonstrating the power with the forehand side. It's going to be tough for Hamamoto when she has to squat down like that for a tall player to come back up all the way. Staying low is one thing, but getting that low after a shot can be a little bit disorienting. So neither player has a timeout left. They've both been used. What do you say to that? Talk about ready to go. Fast and long into the forehand. Choi Hyojoo reads the spin perfectly. Short stroke to the forehand side down the line. It's shots like this that makes it no wonder that Choi Hyojoo can beat someone top 5 in the world 2 times in the same year before she's 18. Referring to Kasumi Ishikawa, that is. Miss hit off the edge of the racket. Hamamoto keeps the spin on the ball. She blocks it back into play. Another factor that can be very effective in the blocking game. Short motion over the ball to keep and add a little bit of topspin to your blocks. Makes the ball accelerate as it moves towards your opponent. Yeah, right there was a pretty clean example, pretty clear example of a coach just being able to say little things here and there between the point. Cheering for a player saying nice, nice. Jayo fighting, whatever you want to say, was legal before, but now umpires don't have to be concerned. Not about what's being said anyway. Length of time, but we haven't seen delay of game as many predicted we might. That serve was perfectly length. Choi Hyojoo hesitating on 2 occasions before contacting the ball. But the heavy underspin on it, Hamamoto doesn't lift quite enough. Inside out forehand attempt. Just mishitting Choi Hyojoo once again. It's a full stroke forehand. Still a 1-point lead for Choi. Well-placed serve. Looks like it's sitting up just a little bit, and Hamamoto tries for the flip. Second towel break of the game, both players drying off their hands. Sometimes you'll see between points when there's no towel break, players drying their hands off on the table, either on the side or typically near the net to not affect the bounce of the ball. With all that wingspan to not be able to reach it, that's a very short net shot. Break for Choi Hyojoo. forehand flips, the percentages just aren't as high as they were earlier in this match. Light topspin on the serve. HAMAMOTO looking for the ball to be popped up a little bit. Fast feet and 2 forehand attacks chasing him down. Choi Hyojoo springing at every opportunity, has 5 game points to send this to a deciding 7th. And once again, the forehand flip does not land. Game 6 is Choi Hyojoo, and we're going to game 7. Grab your snacks, get a comfy seat, because the decider's coming up right after this short break. Players come back for game 7. Austrian fans here starting to fill up the seats in the crowd. Yui HAMAMOTO at the top of the screen. Now head to head, these two have played 4 times in the past, and Yui HAMAMOTO hasn't lost a single match. 4 for 4. Unusual choice, but a smart one nonetheless. Yui HAMAMOTO senses that Choi Hyojoo is back off the table, chooses to slow down the pace, bring Choi Hyojoo in to take a shot off balance. It'll help off the top of the net, but it doesn't bother HAMAMOTO. Stays in there and wins the 2nd point of the game as well. Little emoji motion there. Tongue out and one eye shut. Choi Hyojoo not quite satisfied with the start of this game. That's pretty satisfying. Backhand punch off the bounce to the open forehand court. This is the rocket backhand that made 2015 so successful for Choi Hyojoo. Deep on the table. Sounded like it might have caught a little bit of the back edge, but a quality shot nonetheless. Ball comes up just a little high. You could see how fast it's spinning, but again, it doesn't matter how spinny it is. If the opponent can read it, they know how to handle it, especially at this level. Smart play. Spinny ball out wide to the forehand, sets up the block to come back a little bit high. And that is so much pace. But it's the inside-out forehand that finishes the point from HAMAMOTO. Once again, that spinny backhand. HAMAMOTO taking back the 2-point lead. That haircut seems like your hair might get in your eyes, Choi Hyojoo, but I think it's designed perfectly just to stay right out of your eyes, but still be fashionable. No clips needed for Choi Hyojoo. Inside out forehand on the step around. Keeps bringing it back in. Ironically, The points have not been the server. They've been the points of the receiver so far this game. I could be wrong here, but it seems like every point has been won by the receiver so far in Game 7. First two to HAMAMOTO, next two to CHOI, back and forth. After this point, players will switch sides. Oh, a finishing backhand after all those loops. Steady and predictably placed for Yui HAMAMOTO. The backhand, no time to react. Right there waiting. Quick feet for Choi Hyojoo, not moving too early. But really getting forward. You could see her lean into that ball to stay on top of it. Get out in front to take it a little earlier. Not give HAMAMOTO as much time to react. Second serve for Choi Hyojoo and her first lead in Game 7. Spinny ball deep on the table. Just missed time by Choi Hyojoo. This is a tough ball to take that early off the bounce, deep on the table, low to the net. Tied back up at 5 points each. Inside out, the misleading, the placement. When given time as the attacker, and you could see there was very little spin. You could almost read the logo on the double happiness ball. When given that time, placement is often more important than power. Soft touch left over the table. It's 3 in a row for Yui HAMAMOTO. This is where if you had a timeout left, you might use it. Although a lot of the time you'll see timeouts happening when a player's still in the lead. Power with the forehand. Choi Hyojoo running around to earn that shot. It looks like HAMAMOTO's saying, have a little more confidence in your backhand. Don't be afraid to go for a big backhand winner, backhand loop. Oh, nobody home. The door is left open. No security at all. Look at this one more time. Light spin, almost dead. And HAMAMOTO steps around the backhand over the forehand side of the table and plays it right down the line. Dangling off the forehand side a little bit wide. HAMAMOTO increases her lead, extends it. Up 3 points, just 2 points away from moving on to the women's singles final. But not yet. Choi Hyojoo, heavy underspin receive over the table. And now 2 serves, a chance to tie it up. That is not the way Choi Hyojoo wants to go down. A softer backhand shot. Doesn't get a chance to get aggressive. And now it's 3 match points for Yui HAMAMOTO of Japan. Down the line, short side of the table on that step around forehand. It's been so deadly on so many occasions. Ball popped up just a little bit on the receive. HAMAMOTO tries to cover the length. Putting the racket up to the forehand side. And at the 3rd towel break of the game, Yui HAMAMOTO with 2 serves if she needs them and 2 match points. Big shot off the back edge maybe. But another counter from Choi Hyojoo. Not an easy shot, especially under pressure. Yep, that's the back edge of the table. Looks like she started to raise her hand for a moment to apologize, but was just so focused on playing. Really needs to keep her focus here. 2 match points saved. One more match point here for Yui Hamamoto with the serve. And that's the best receive we've seen yet, but still not enough to stop the third ball. Yui Hamamoto, 11-9 in Game 7, is the only player to stop Choi Hyojoo in the women's singles here. And what a performance. Yui Hamamoto keeping her flawless record head-to-head, now 5-0 against Choi Hyojoo. Will be having a chance to rest a bit before her final match later today after the men's doubles final. But stick around, we've got an exciting match coming up right after this. It's going to be Mima Ito, the child superstar of Japan, now 16 years old, versus Honoka Hashimoto, chopper from Japan with short pips, for the second women's singles semifinal. Right after this, you're watching the Austrian Open 2016.